think it's about time to start. Thank you, colleagues, for being here. Thank you to the organizers for making us not only witnesses, but also participants in this event that is changing and shaping the green transition, hopefully not only in Bulgaria, but all around Europe. Of course, thank you to our distinguished guests. I think we are about to have a great discussion, especially when we speak about the backbone of the European economy, the challenges that we are all facing when we talk about transportation. We will have the opportunity to hear the Commissioner, the one who is shaping and navigating the European policy of transportation. Of course, we will be able to hear the contribution of our Minister, also very experienced, distinguished, former Member of Parliament, former Minister, the one who knows the green transition, seen it, worked for it in many aspects. We are having our former colleague from the European Parliament, Marian-Jean Marinescu, former MEP now with a very responsible role. He's a coordinator of one of the corridors, which is extremely important for Bulgaria, the one linking the Western Balkans. We have Beata here, Tajinska, the President and CEO of 3C's Business Forum, also involved in this project, which started, how much, 10 years ago? 10 years. And I've seen how it evolved. In these years, I remember when it started, it was 40-some projects, even 2-3 years after they started. Now we have more than 110 billion for projects, and it is extremely important role in connectivity. We have our guest, Jesus Caballero, Sovkanet. So we will speak about the aviation, the airport, the challenges that the airports generally facing, the aviation facing when it comes to green transition. And we have also Susanna Karp, which is the co-founder of Clean Tech Center in Eastern Europe. We will be also able to hear Konstantinos Maritidis. He's the president of the Union of Enterprises of Industrial Area of Thessaloniki, which is the biggest industrial area in the Balkans. So we have quite astonishing guests, and I assume we should start now without further ado. So I think we have a video message from the Commissioner.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's a great honor and a pleasure to join you, even virtually, for this year's edition of the Green Transition Forum. And first of all, I want to underline that I agree with you. For Europe to remain competitive, it must prioritize the development of a well-connected and sustainable transport network, strengthening mobility and integration all across its regions. The Central and Eastern European region is literally at the crossroads between East and West Europe. But it's more than that. It is a backbone of EU connectivity, linking people, goods and economies, and as such, it will be vital as we shape the future of transport in Europe. This future will involve a transition to more sustainable and smarter transport. And I can assure you that the EU is fully committed to supporting this transition. That's why we are investing in decarbonized, modern transport through instruments like the Connecting Europe Facility, the Cohesion Fund, and the Recovery and Resilience Facility. These are not just financial tools, they are engines of change. And we are also providing continuous support to major game-changing projects in the region. Take Rail Baltica, for example, which will connect the Baltic states with the European high-speed network. We are also supporting large-scale rail upgrades in Bulgaria and Romania. And I'm very pleased to see the strong momentum at the level of the member states. Poland and Czechia are pushing ahead with high-speed rail plans, while at the same time, Bulgaria is using a 60 million euro from the European Investment Bank to improve urban transport in Sofia, upgrading tramways, roads, and cycling infrastructure, boosting sustainability and air quality for the citizens. And these are all great news. And across the region, we are seeing rapid growth in alternative fuel infrastructure, from electric charging to hydrogen refueling. Projects like Via Carpathia and new cross-border terminals are boosting regional competitiveness. And importantly, they're also future-proofing Europe. So my message to you is very clear. The path to a climate-neutral Europe runs through Central and Eastern Europe, with innovation, investment, and determination. I am sure that we can do more than catch up. We can lead. So let's keep moving together towards a smarter, more sustainable, and more connected Europe. Thank you, and I wish you a successful forum.
Yes, this was really an important message, and I must say one thing, that the Commissioner mentioned something about regional competitiveness, which is, I believe, extremely important, especially for countries from our region. And this is good that we have a second Commissioner who is from our region. The previous Commissioner was working very, very well with us. She knew all the problems of the transport, and also Mr. Marinescu had a chance to work even closer to her. So I believe that this is really important for our area, because let's be honest, the transportation is the blood system of each and every economy. And it is extremely important, it should not be underestimated. But now I would like to give the floor to our Minister and Deputy Prime Minister, Minister of Transportation, Mr. Grozdan Karajov. I had the opportunity to introduce you already, but he would probably mention more about the challenges that Bulgaria is facing in terms of connectivity, modernization of infrastructure, because this government inherited a lot of problems, and I would be really glad to hear how we are going to solve all of them, or at least part of them. Mr. Minister, you have the floor.
Thank you. Thank you, dear ladies and gentlemen, dear organizers, Mr. Stanishev, Mrs. Stanisheva, I don't see her right now, but thank you very much for the invitation. Also, thank you very much for organizing this forum, on which it's really an honor for me to share our vision for the future of the transport sector in Bulgaria, but also on how this where this sector finds itself on the road to sustainability and on the scale of economic growth of our country. Before saying a few words exactly on the topic of the conference, let me say that for one thing, we are in complete sync with Commissioner Tzitzikostas, who just spoke. And this is that Central and Eastern Europe, especially the countries Greece, Bulgaria, and Romania, we become nowadays the real crossroad of what's happening transport-wise in Europe. Bulgaria especially is situated in such a place where both the so-called middle road, the road that starts from Italy, passes on the verges of what used to be called Corridor 8. Actually, it still continues to be called Corridor 8, and it was Bulgarian initiative to bring that corridor on the map of the European Commission several years ago. This corridor has become extremely important because it's not only the corridor that links the Adriatic to the Black Sea. We must look even further. It's actually the road, the fastest and the shortest road that will take us all the way through Asia to the eastern parts of Asia, to the eastern ports of Asia. The other corridors that became very important, especially with the war in Ukraine and the broken chains of deliveries, the broken chains of supply. The south to north corridors became of extreme importance. And they are important for two reasons. First of all, they are the shortest ways, so which saves fuel, saves energy, and in this way diminishes the impact of fossilized fuels into the overall ecology of the continent. But they are also very important in respect with the dual mobility. Dual mobility is also an answer to the question how vulnerable are we in Europe to various crises, including military crises. The security of Europe has, for many years, maybe decades, been underestimated, and it is time now in which Europe has to reconsider its security issues and has to strengthen especially its eastern flank. And this eastern flank constitutes of so many bottlenecks. Imagine even the links between Bulgaria and Greece are not very well developed. The links between Bulgaria and North Macedonia are hardly existing. We don't have a railway connection. We have a tiny road connection with them. We cannot talk about any military or other mobility there, but also people cannot travel freely. The Balkan itself, the mountain of Stara Planina, it's a natural barrier, but we live in almost in the 22nd century, and can we let it be a transport barrier? No, we should start changing our plans and make the necessary tunnels, make the necessary passages so that fast and secure cargo and people can travel. The next obstacle is the river Danube, another natural obstacle. But it used to have 7 bridges during the Roman Empire and only 2 under the, let's say, I wouldn't call it the Brussels Empire, I would call it under the European Union ruling. So are we less capable? Are we more technologically advanced? Yes, we are. Are we more rich? Yes, we are. Still, we have 2 bridges on the Danube River, while we should have 3, 4, or even 5. In those years that we live, you can imagine the person in Nikopol, let's say, who's sitting on this end of the river, the Bulgarian, and he looks across the river, he can see his neighbor from the city across. But in order to go and shake hands, he must travel to Ruse, pass with his car through the bridge, and just go reach a few hundred meters away from him where he used to be. It would take him around 200 kilometers of travel. This is not normal. This is not okay. And this is the type of synchronization that we now have with the European Commission. And several weeks ago, we were with the representatives of Greece, the minister, myself, and the actually Secretary General of the Ministry of Transport and Infrastructure of Romania. But we got a really good message for Bulgaria and for Greece. We all must cooperate into making at least 3 south to north legs through Bulgaria, through Greece, also through Romania, to be able to answer to the challenges of our time, to be able to answer also to what our people expect us to happen. We need to speed up the 3rd bridge on the Danube River, but we also need to agree on the 4th and the 5th and to start preparing for them. And for this, the Commissioner Dzikostas has handed out to each one of us a preliminary agreement, a preliminary text of agreement for a trilateral agreement on these specific priorities. So I believe now we are going to be searching for ways to finance these corridors all together, not just the 3 countries, but with the help of the European Commission, which is a completely different scenario. And now, if you allow me to go back to the topic of our conference, our efficient, reliable, and sustainable transport systems are essential. And they enable the movement of people and goods, they connect markets, they support trade, and they create jobs. For Central and Eastern Europe, countries like Bulgaria, transport connectivity is not just an economic enabler, it is a powerful driver of regional cohesion and development. And the modernization of our transport network is very central. As you very well know, we are developing in fast manner the so-called TEN-T network, and we will continue to keep this as a national priority. We are, in this context, the infrastructure along the TEN-T network must be developed to ensure seamless movement across borders through interoperability and common standards. 3 major transport corridors, as I've emphasized, cross Bulgaria, underscoring our strategic role in the network's implementation. However, Europe must also look beyond its internal borders. Our strategic interests demand deeper integration with the neighboring region. The Trans-Caspian International Transport Route, also known as the Middle Corridor, it offers a new trade opportunities linking Southeastern Europe with Central Asia and the Far East. For Bulgaria, connecting the TEN-T with this corridor is a national priority. Positioned on the EU's periphery and external border, Bulgaria holds a unique geopolitical role and a responsibility to strengthen Europe's connectivity with adjacent regions. This ambitious vision brings significant challenges. Public financial resources at the moment are very limited, while the infrastructure needs remain and continue to grow. That is why we strongly advocate for, as you know it, public-private partnership, or as it is envisioned in our law, the law of concessions, this in letting concessions in infrastructure projects. This is the so-called build, operate, transfer model. The government priority now is to let major infrastructure sites like highways, railroad tunnels, bridges, etc., to be let first to concession procedures, and only if we don't find partners and private financing for these public needs, only then we can go and search for European or national budget financing. the Ministry of Transport and Communication has for a long time been using these concession procedures. And as you know, 15 port terminals and 4 of our totally 5 airports are on concession. 1 intermodal terminal is also on concession. All of them, with great pride, I must report, are very successful, and their growth is very, very strong and visible. The country not only services these points excellently, but also recuperates part of the investments in the form of concession payments. And right next to me is one of our best performing actors, the airport of Sofia, Mr. Caballero. And we are very grateful that from next year, the government will start receiving concession input from the airport's concession contract. A strategic priority for us is the development of modern, environmentally friendly and convenient rail transport. Our ambition is for rail to become the backbone of the national transport system, an attractive alternative to the car travel. We are supported by the European funds. We are investing into a new generation zero-emission rolling stock to meet the public expectation and support the climate targets. We have contracted a total of 60 EMUs, electric units, which are zero emission trains, and they will start to arrive in Bulgaria starting from April next year until the end of August 27. These hardware investments are complemented by important institutional reforms. As you may have heard that from 2nd of June this year, just a week ago, we launched a broad public consultation on the future rail passenger public service for passengers. And this means, in plain words, that new private operators of trains will be introduced, and if successful, this procedure will bring at least 2 new players on the market. And as you already know, competition and not the minister is the one who gives better quality and better prices. That is why we look forward to this reform with great expectation. To facilitate this reform, we are preparing a new act, a new law, that is called Law of Public Transport Act. And this law will give the overall framework of how the railways become the preferred backbone of the state, and how the state policy is attached to the rails and makes all the rest of the transportation as subsidiary, which means that wherever the train is stopping, in a while a bus will be leaving and not vice versa, and by that eating the client base of the railways. So the state is changing its priority. For more than 30 years it has been vice versa, and most of you here in this room, you have witnessed how the bus transportation has eaten the railways transportation, and that the railways transportation is at the moment, especially the passengers one, is in a very poor condition. We aim to change that, and we aim to change it not like after 10 years, we aim to change it next year, and perhaps within the term of this government, I believe the fruits of the competition will be already visible, but already will be at the disposal of the Bulgarian citizens. Of course, we are accelerating the modernization of the railway infrastructure, both through the funds of the European Union, but also through the concessions procedures in the railway infrastructure sector. We aim to dig at least 2 new tunnels that will be not the tunnels that go high and short ones, but rather long tunnels that will cover 2 destinations from south to north of Bulgaria, in fact giving a possibility to cross the mountain within 30 minutes. At the moment, this takes approximately 1 hour and 45 minutes to cross the Stara Planina mountain from one end to the other, just to go from south to North Bulgaria. And this as mileage is not more than 30 kilometers. So imagine 30 kilometers in the curves of the Iskar Gorge takes 1 hour and 45 minutes, but as a straight line, it's only 30 kilometers. We cannot continue to hold that. And the second line will be near Troian, so actually continuation of Troian to Hristo Danovo, another point at the on the railway of southern Bulgaria, and Troian is in the North Bulgaria, linking it to the main line from Gorno Oryahovitz and then Varna, or on the other direction to Sofia. These are our plans, and I hope to see them happening within the term of this government. And basically, sorry if I was talking too much and took much of your time, but thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you so much, Minister, for your informative statement. It was really, really important to show the challenges that we are facing, but at the same time pointing out the priorities. And I must say that he's too modest, but he already had 2 achievements at least. On one hand, he already managed to convince the financial minister to give additional 600 million from the national budget for modernization of railways. But on the other hand, the Ministry of Transportation managed to catch up the delay when it comes to recovery and resilience plans. So we will be able to take advantage of this plan in buying new locomotives, and not only. So hopefully the wasted time would be caught up. But the Minister, before asking questions, I would rather prefer to give the opportunity to the other panelists. And then if we have time, hopefully we will, then we can add some questions. But you mentioned something about the natural barriers and the obstacles. For instance, the Balkan Mountains. And I know, Beata, that one of the projects of 3C's initiative is the tunnel under the Petrohan Pass. So how does the 3C's initiative improve the regional connectivity? I think this is important for all of us. And how does it accumulate money from the private sector?
It works? I think so. Wow, okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for having me here today. It is my pleasure, and my congratulations to Monika Stanishewa for organizing this event. It is developing very fast, and it is a very important discussion, especially in our region. So the tunnel, it is the one project, but I want to rather focus on some aspects related with the broader aspect of the connectivity, because the 3C's region, it is the 13 countries, 120 million population, and it is one of almost 1/3 population of the entire European Union. And if we are thinking about Europe in the very positive way, how to increase the importance of Europe on the global scene, we have to be united, and we have to think about this region as an important part of the European Union. But what we have to catch up, this is not on the one tunnel. We need to increase the quality of infrastructure, especially road and rail. Comparing to the western part of the European Union, we have to spend over 300 billion euro to have the same quality of roads and rail comparing to the West. So we have to spend a lot of money, and I fully agree. It is, especially in the railroads, it is mainly domain of governments. So we have to have the combined power of our governments. We have to have the project that will increase the quality of our connectivity. But if we not have enough agreement between our countries, we can have the fantastic roads and rail, and when we have the bottleneck, we don't have the bridges, we don't have the connection and the cross-border, and this is our bottleneck. We are fragmented. We have beautiful roads, and then we can stop. So we can connect only between the one country, not among the entire region. Some figures that I want to share with you. If you compare the roads, 2,500 kilometers, it is the same distance between Tallinn and Constantia and Göteborg and Barcelona, 2,500 kilometers. How long it takes by road in the western part and in our part of the region. 25 hours in the western part, 32 hours in our region. It is worst in the rail connectivity, because the same distance from Gothenburg to Barcelona by rail, it is 1.5 days from Gothenburg to Barcelona. From Tallinn to Constantia, it is 2.5 days. Why? Because we have very poor condition of the rails, and the rails are very important for all terms of logistic transportation of the goods and the development of our region. So we have to invest in rail, because it gives us the momentum how speed up of our economy. It is a worse scenario also with our Baltic states, because they have different gauges comparing to the other countries. So it is another investment. The Rail Baltica addressed this, but it is a lot of another money and time that we have to spend to increase intermodal projects, that to have to develop rails, roads, ports, and the inland ports, how to distribute, how to build the hubs. So this is a lot of challenges ahead of us. And maybe a few facts. We increase a lot of topics that TEN-T, it is the most important project for the European Union. When the important roads in our region was the part of the TEN-T, when the war in Ukraine appears. Before, were not very important. So how we want to develop and how we want to be object or subject to develop our European Union. Because it is important to develop under equal rules this region and the western part of region. On the other hand, we have two pace of our economy. So it is very important how the new, not only resilience and recovery plan that we have, it is another story, but the Connecting Europe facility, how this money can address these huge challenges that we have in our region. So maybe at that moment, the tunnel, yes, it is important. Yes, we have to cooperate with the Western Balkans. Yes, the three seas right now has the Ukraine, Moldova, Albania, and Montenegro as associated countries. Yes, and we need to this cooperation and this connectivity. But without this road as a part of the Via Carpathia and the airport in Rzeszów, who can connect with Kyiv since the war burned. So at that moment, I will stop.
Thank you, Beata, for raising these concerning questions. And you're absolutely right that we are lagging behind. We have to catch up. And I must admit that TEN-T is one of the key instruments and a big opportunity. And now, speaking about TEN-T, allow me to introduce our next panelist. And to be absolutely honest, I'm honored to say that Mr. Marinescu is a man who I admire, despite being from a different political family, because he knows how to negotiate. And I must say that in his previous capacity as a member of the European Parliament, he was the one not only shaping the Romanian transport policy in Europe, but also the European transport policy. We were sharing the same battles, despite from different political families, mobility package and some others. But now he's in a different capacity, and I'm sure that this will bring success not only to him personally, of course, but also for us as a country, because he's a coordinator of Western Balkans corridor. So, Mr. Marinescu, I will give you the floor now and give you the opportunity to explain how are you going to improve the connectivity between the countries from the Western Balkans, which is our pain, heart pain.
With a lot of money. Yeah, thank you very much. And thank you very much for the invitation. I am glad that I am the second time here, but first time I was online. Now I could do it in person. Thank you very much for the invitation. I think that it's a very good event. So EU must be competitive. It is said since not so long, but since 2 years, I think is becoming very, very important. Mr. Leta last night said also the same thing. To be competitive, you need good businesses that need raw materials, people first, then raw materials, then parts, sub-assemblies, products, and then to trade, to sell it for all this, and energy, of course. So all this except energy needs, all this need transport. Yeah? Without transport, you cannot do a good business and a competitive business. So for transport, we need infrastructure. And it's true that we have to decarbonize, but I think that first you need to provide mobility and then to decarbonize. So you should not limit the mobility, especially for people, for society. For society is very important, the transport. I think that we can say that mobility is a human right. You should not limit it. I lived in communism, so I know what does it mean to limit the mobility of the people. So we need transport for all this. We need to to build infrastructure. We need to decarbonize. We need to use the main places where you could be most efficient in decarbonization. For example, Danube. Yeah? The inland waterways is very important. It's not on my corridor, on the corridor that I am coordinating, but Danube, it's a very important mode of transport. Inland waterways, it's very important, and we need to do it. And I think that now there are many opportunities for this. Now, to build the infrastructure, you need money. That's very clear. EU is providing some money. And if we are speaking about this corridor, which is going from Austria to Cyprus, it's a very interesting corridor because it's including member states and non-member states with different ways of financing, of grants, because it's clear. Minister told you that he needs money, and the best would be to be grant, not to be a loan or national budget. So EU is is providing financing through grants, through the strategic and investment funds for member states, through CEF, also for member states, Connecting Europe Facility, and through IPA and growth facility for non-member states. So you need a lot of money, and you need to take this money from different sources. Now, for to be competitive, you need also to be secure, which means that you have to provide security. And in this period, we need security a lot, because we have a threat at the border, east border of Europe that will not disappear, will be there always. So we need to be prepared, because this is the situation. If you look in the history, this was always the situation. Russia was not a good friend, was always a threat. That's the reality, and we have to face it. And this region, Western Balkans, is very important for this also. First, it's could be the gate, the door from the Adriatic Sea to the Central Europe and to the north, as it was said already here, and in the same time could be the provider of the security, because we need to be prepared from military point of view with this. We need to do a lot, because to have efficient and decarbonized and good connectivity, we need interoperability, we need standardization, because maybe we build a very good infrastructure till the border, and then the trains are stopping at the border, I don't know, 12, 14 hours, same for trucks, that you can see the queues in different borders in this area. And this will be one of my projects for this corridor, because we need to solve this from all 3 points of view: administrative, operational first, administrative, and legislative, because there are a lot of things to be done. The corridor in this moment is not the most developed corridor. Road, it's, let's say, quite okay. Yeah, we have still to develop, you have, all the regions should develop something, but it's quite okay. The main segment, which is going from Austria to Patras in the south, it's highway. Rail is not the same situation, and we have to work a lot in this direction. Okay, there are some bottlenecks. One is in Croatia, the other one is in North Macedonia for the main segment, but there is also a bottleneck in Bosnia, because the connection between Ploče and the main segment is not developed. They are giving priority to the road. We need to develop also for the main segment the connection between border with Serbia, Kulata and Svilangrad, because this is also important, the direction to Turkey. And this is more or less, I hope that I had a meeting with the minister, till 2030 will be okay. But we have also some other connections, the former Corridor 8, which is going from Dures to Burgas, which is not completed. Railway, there are even some parts, there is no railway in this moment. So one is the border between Albania and North Macedonia, the other one Greece, North Macedonia and Bulgaria. So there is some financing. EU came with the 6 billion right now, 2 in projects growth facility. This money must be used efficient, must be used for projects that could be completed in the deadline, and then to distribute the money that we can have in an efficient way. We have to keep in mind that in 27 is coming the next MFF, that we don't know how it will look. I think that it will not be like the other MFF. Other MFFs will be a little bit different, but at least we have to be prepared, and we have to invest a lot in making the projects mature. So to have it at the end of 2026, everything prepared to get the first money for 27, from 27, because usually the member states and non-member states, they are not using the money from the very beginning. They are using the money from the other MFF. So, as I said, I want to say only one thing about internal market. Mr. Leta said also something last night, and I like it very much. We need to have common rules, because now, for certification of an ERTMS, for example, for the trains, you need to be certified in each country. For rolling stock, you need to certify the trains in each country. Yes, and this is at the national level, the solution. That's very clear. There are a lot of agencies that should not repeat the same thing in Germany and in Romania, in Germany and in Bulgaria. A train that is running in Germany for sure can run also in our region. So we have to solve also this in order to become competitive. Thank you very much, and waiting for questions.
Beata just wanted to add up.
One sentence. In the European Union, there is a group of people who work in how to harmonize all the technical issues and HR issues for rail. It is, the plan is to be harmonized in 2050. And the country who is responsible for that is Malta.
Yes, I am sorry, but with this harmonization, anyway, I shall not be in 2050, so yes, but we shall wait a lot. There is European Rail Agency that could do a lot, and I think that each national administration could do a lot. Otherwise, we shall wait for a long process of harmonization and so on that will not be very efficient.
I feel I agree.
Thank you, Mr. Marinescu. Obviously, money is not enough. Yes. We need some other things. But I would now give the floor to Mr. Jesus Caballero, because our audience might think that we are underestimating the one extremely key mode of transport, which is the aviation. And despite some disturbances in globalization generally, I'm sure that your sector, and especially you as a key operator and investor, and one of the best performing one, you will have a lot to say when it comes to different challenges that you are facing in many aspects. On one hand, the constantly increasing number of passengers, the competitiveness of the other airport, the competitiveness of the European airports, and of course the contemporary crisis of the working force and so on. But I will now give you the floor. Mr. Caballero, please.
Thank you very much. Hello everyone. Thank you for the invitation. It's a pleasure to share this high-level panel with all of you. So I will try to give example to what had been said today in the panel about the connectivity, sustainability, competitiveness, and also about how to attract the investment, how to bring the money to the country. So if we, regardless the connectivity, and this is something that I want to use it as an example, how a public-private partnership can accelerate the development and the transformation of a region and a country. So since the beginning of the concession, that the government launched the concession of the capital airport in 21, we increased the air connectivity more than 25%. And this is because we are attracting this traffic. We are approaching the airlines with our efficiency, with our incentive. We are doing a big effort to bring this traffic. And what is the benefit of bringing this traffic to the country? We increased the GDP of the country of Bulgaria with 1.3 billion levas, just only with this 25% increase in air connectivity. But in order to keep on growing, you need capacity. And then that's why, and it was a very important decision from the government to launch this concession, because by 2030, 2031, Bulgaria will have an airport with more than 20 million passengers per year capacity. This is the largest capacity in the region. and it will happen in 5 years. And then the way to accelerate the development and to increase this capacity is this partnership between the public and the private sector. This is where you can really boost the development of a region. So, and Bulgaria will have a big competitive advantage in 2030, 2031, when we open this Terminal 3, this big capacity. Because other countries, we've been mentioning, like Turkey, other countries around, they are benefiting from something that we already have, this geographic situation to connect West and East. But we are in Europe. So we need to, in order to compete, we need to accelerate this investment and to bring this partnership. And also what we are doing is in July, we are launching the construction of this Terminal 3. So we are, during the whole period of the concession, we will invest more than 624 million to develop this airport, but also not only in capacity, also in becoming the first 5-star regional airport in Europe. So there is no 5-star regional airport, and we want to really show to the people that are visiting the country that the first image of the country is the best in class. This, you can do it when you are bringing this investment with the decision from the government to do it faster than other countries. And then the second point is the sustainability, and it is completely compatible to taking care of the nature, because during the first 3-4 years of the concession, we reduce in 50% our emissions. So we are growing this 25% air connectivity, but we are reducing our emissions, and before 2036, the capital airport of Bulgaria will be full carbon neutral. So it is compatible. You need to bring the right investment and the right strategy to make it happen. The third one that we've been talking about is the competitiveness. And this is key. So in order, we are bringing this traffic, we are growing this 25% because we have the lowest airport charges among the capital airport in euros. We are extremely competitive. And we want to keep on being the most competitive airports in the region to attract the airlines, because the airlines, they are deciding where to go based in cost. So, and we are surrounded by many countries that are also trying to keep this traffic. So this new terminal and this new investment is thought to keep on having this competitiveness. But for that, you need also to implement digitalization and efficient organization and operation. And this is linked with how to attract investment and how to, good example of collaboration with the European Commission. And for example, Europe is grounded the airport, the capital airport, with almost 5 million euros to implement the first private network, 5G network in Bulgaria, but will be the fourth one in Europe among all the airports in Europe. There are more than 600 airports in Europe. Only 4, we are talking about Frankfurt, Vienna, Schiphol, Amsterdam, and Sofia, will be among these 4 leaders in digitalization. And it is grounded by European Commission. So the money is available, but you need to attract this to your assets with good projects that are going to develop the region. And it will give another competitive advantage, because Sofia will be among these airports with a pioneer in digitalization. This 5G private network will allow us to start implementing artificial intelligence to keep on increasing our efficiency, to keep on being super competitive at the same time that we are increasing the passenger experience. This is one of the projects that European Commission is grounding, but also there is another one linked with the sustainability, and Europe is giving us 1 million euros to decarbonize our operation. And we are electrifying our fleet, so we are upgrading the energy grid, because in order to shift to the electrical mobility, you need to increase the power and the electricity power. So we are upgrading our substation, our transfer substations, and then we need this investment that is Europe is ready to help. You need to explain and you need to bring to Europe the projects that are in line with connectivity, with efficiency, competitiveness, and sustainability. And the last, but not the least, this positive example, like the airport concession, it is attracting new investor. Because when there is a successful story of an investor like us that is succeeding and developing a region, it is attracting more investors. This is another way to keep on bringing and helping in bringing investor, improving your competitiveness, and keep on developing the country in a faster way compared to other countries around. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Caballero, and I agree with your introduction. As a passenger, I must admit that Bulgarian airport is one of the really most attractive ones in the region, and I'm sure that with your support it will be even better in future. Now, I would like to give the floor to our colleague who is not here. Unfortunately, he missed his flight yesterday. Mr. Konstantinos Maraitidis. He is a first Vice President of the Thessaloniki Chamber of Commerce and Chairman of Business Association of the Industrial Area in Thessaloniki. And this area, as I already mentioned, is the biggest organized concentration of industries in Balkans, more than 700 enterprises and over 28,000 employees. So, Mr. Maraitidis, how do transportation and connectivity between Eastern and Central European countries affect the competitiveness of your businesses?
Thank you for this chance, Mr. Vitanov, and thank you everyone there for being there. Let me tell you that I am not physically there, but still I am next to you. I really enjoy following this great panel, receiving all this great information that the rest of panelists are sharing with us. And I need to admit that they have already covered most of topics that I would like to talk about. I would like also to tell you that it's a great honor and pleasure being next to you. Okay, not physically, but still being next to you. Concerning your question, well, enhancing transport and connectivity between Eastern and Central Europe is a critical factor for the competitiveness, of course, of businesses, at least in northern Greece, and especially those operating in Thessaloniki's industrial area. As you mentioned, it is by far the biggest organized concentration of industries in the Balkans, and that gives us the right to receive some concrete data that I would like to share with the rest of you, either now or in the near future, in order to take advantage of this data and develop solutions for all of us. Representing the Thessaloniki Chamber of Industry and Commerce and the Association of Businesses in the industrial area of Thessaloniki, so we observe that the improvement of rail and road corridors, but mostly rail, as the rest of panelists mentioned already, toward Central European markets, combined with efficient links to key ports such as Thessaloniki port and additionally Alexandroupolis and Kavala here in northern Greece, is unlocking new development potential. So there are a few specific benefits for our businesses. I would collect them in 5 main topics. First of all, number one, we have reduced transport costs and time. So we improved connectivity to markets in Bulgaria, Romania, Serbia, then Hungary via corridors like Corridor 4, significantly shortens transit times, increasing our global competitiveness, as anyone can understand. Number two, supply chain security. Reliable access to both markets and raw materials strengthens the resilience of Greek businesses, especially in manufacturing and industry. Number 3, cross-border synergies and clusters. Proximity fosters international partnership, joint ventures, and technological collaboration, of course. So we in Thessaloniki, we see that Thessaloniki is emerging as a hub of production, logistics, and exports across Southeastern Europe, and we all together can take advantage, positive advantage of it. Number 4, and this is very critical, green transition. Investment, as your great panelists have already referred to. So investment in rail and mostly rail and intermodal transport reduces the carbon footprint of our businesses. We in the industrial area of Thessaloniki, we are exploring solutions for low carbon logistic hubs powered by renewable energy sources mostly. And number 5, concerning Thessaloniki, positioning Thessaloniki as a gateway hub, it's obvious that the ongoing upgrade of the port of Thessaloniki in conjunction with vertical transport corridors positions the region as an alternative entry point to the European Union for goods, mostly from Asia and the Middle East. Now, concerning the importance of cross-border cooperation, of course, infrastructure alone is not enough, definitely. What truly makes these connections valuable is the trust and cooperation between our peoples, our institutions, and our businesses, for sure. The collaboration, especially between Greece, Bulgaria, and Romania, is not only a matter of geography, but it is also a reflection of a shared vision for regional prosperity, sustainability, and peace, mostly out of our common history. Our countries share deep historical, cultural, and economic ties. The friendship among our people is the foundation upon which we can build resilient and reliable value chains, common energy and transportation projects, and joint innovation ecosystems. It is through such mutual understanding, open dialogue, and combined action that we can transform the region into a competitive and green economic corridor fully aligned with the goals of the European Green Deal and a fair digital transition, of course. We believe that forums, we as Thessaloniki's Chamber of Industry and Commerce, as well as the industrial area of Thessaloniki, we strongly believe that forums like today's conference in Sofia offer a unique opportunity to deepen these bonds, to move from words to action, from bilateral initiative to regional strategies that benefit all citizens. So, in conclusion, in order to give the speech to the next and I think the last one of your panelists, in conclusion, investment in transport connectivity must go hand in hand with investment in trust, collaboration with regional friendship. This is how we will shape a future that is not only competitive, but sustainable, inclusive, and proudly, let me call it, Balkan European.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Maraitiris, for your contribution. Now, after we heard the business, last but not least, of course, and by the way, I'm opening the bracket here, Mr. Marinescu mentioned something about the basic right of mobility. Susanna, do we have to oppose the mobility against the decarbonization? Because what kind of a panel of transportation of the green transition event would be if we don't speak about decarbonization?
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more that there is a very strong link, and I will be looking into it using an example as well. I think examples are very powerful, so why not? But allow me to start by introducing the Clean Tech for Central and Eastern Europe initiative, which was recently launched in March of this year in Warsaw in the context of a global startup workshop organized by the Massachusetts Institute for Technology. So from the very start, at the launch, we talked about the vision for Central and Eastern Europe as being a place where we would need no longer than 3 hours to connect the capitals. At the time, we said, well, imagine that you could reach, from Warsaw, you could reach Bucharest in 3 hours or Prague in 3 hours, but the same applies to here. Let's say we're in Sofia. How different would our world be if we could indeed reach Bucharest or Athens in just 3 hours? I would say it would be quite different, both from, well, actually, from a clean air perspective, because clean mobility, clean transportation is directly linked to cleaner air, but also to our competitiveness, and I can demonstrate this. So in order to launch cleantech for Central and Eastern Europe, for 6 months, we looked into the landscape of the cleantech innovators in the region. And when I say the region, I really refer to the region that spans from the Czech Republic to Greece. And we noticed that in this region, there's actually much less cleantech innovators than in the rest of Europe. However, we tend to be much more developed. There's many more innovators on the digital side and digital solutions, whether these are platforms for optimizing heat pump consumption, or actually, I know there's someone in the audience developing an online platform for electromobility. So this is a place where our region does better than other regions. And I would say it all goes back to connectivity and mobility again. It is very likely that it's because we are actually less integrated by transport, that it is so difficult to get from one part of our region to the other, that we haven't been so interested, or that we haven't been so attractive when it comes to investments in hardware solutions for decarbonization the same way the rest of Europe has. And given the circumstances, and as we tend to be extremely innovative in Central and Eastern Europe, we have adjusted to that, and we have overperformed in terms of the digital solutions that we're proposing. So actually, the profile of innovators here is very different, and it is linked to the lack of connectivity, the poor infrastructure when it comes to transport, because all of this affects the risk profile of innovators. So we've heard on previous panels just how much risk there is when it comes to innovators scaling up a business. And including on the previous panel, someone said, well, in America, when you fail, that's when your career actually starts. In Europe, not so much. It's true, our culture of entrepreneurship is very different than it is in the US, and so is our risk appetite. And that is translated into the financial instruments that we have available for cleantech innovators, and financial instruments that, would in principle be, let's say, should be adapted to innovators, so therefore be more permissible, or accept that the financial maturity is lower for an innovator than for an established corporate. And we are not getting these things right. So when you add to this the fact that the region has a heightened security risk, that our transportation slows us down. We have seen what slowed down transportation meant when we had to transport food that was being redirected from Odessa into the ports of Constanța and Varna, and then to the European Union. So it is all linked. And so the competitiveness of the region is linked, and now I will make the next jump to say Europe's competitiveness can only succeed if our region takes the lead. Why am I saying that? Well, one simple way of saying it, well, if the economic model we've had to date would have worked, then Europe wouldn't have a competitiveness problem. If Germany alone could have done it for all of Europe, we wouldn't be where we are. But it's not possible, and it's not possible for France to do it either, or for Germany and France to do it only together as sort of the driving engine of the European Union. That no longer works. It no longer works because the scale of the challenge we're faced with requires we change something in perspective. What happens when we don't change something in perspective? Northvolt happens. We put all of our eggs in the same basket. The so-called poster child of Europe's cleantech innovation that attracted all the possible financial support that we had in the European Union was not able to manufacture a single battery. And of course, there's issues there which have to do with supply chain, with manufacturing issues. But nonetheless, I would say, well, we've put all of our money into one basket, which was Scandinavia. We have taken this to be the safe place to invest. But what we're learning is that if we're talking about bottom-up transformation, we might need to actually start massively investing in Southeastern Europe. There's many reasons to do it. We've got the skilled labor force. We've also got the land we can scale here. It turns out it's no longer so possible to get access to land in Western Europe. So all of these things are coming together. And to your question, Mr. Vitanov, the link with decarbonization, well, all the financial analysis, all the economic analysis, when they refer to the green transition, they label it to have a potential, an economic potential in the trillions. This is the opportunity of a century. And I've heard earlier on previous panels, people saying, well, we need to make the business case for the green transition. I'm sorry, the business case for the green transition is there, not least because we have to start adapting to climate change. It is profitable. It will be certainly profitable. Other countries around the world have understood this, but we can't expect the profit to come before we've actually gone full way into the green transition. This is the irony, where the money won't come before we actually start and we fully take responsibility for it. And I want to conclude by saying that I've spent the last 6 months since the launch by traveling the region. I have so far been in 5 countries in the region, and including a country outside the European Union. I attended the Startup Week in Chisinau, in Moldova. Let me tell you, the green transition is alive, well, thriving, and there's enthusiasm behind it. So how do we explain the fact that in Brussels we hear such things as, oh, it's no longer popular, maybe we should deregulate? Here, it's not my own wording, nor is it the word of the European Commission. It's the word of the European Parliament member who previously referred to omnibus as being deregulation. It's not actually the sentiment on the ground. When I speak to cities in Poland, I've been told by a mayor, wait a moment, we've just spent 5 years training people in ESG and sustainability. Now I have an infratech investor, it wants to do green infrastructure, so I should just say no because someone in Brussels has changed their mind? No, we know the business case for the green transition is here, and it's particularly good for the region. And so it is our chance to lead. We have to take it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Susanna, and also thank you very much to all of the panelists. I think it was a great discussion. Unfortunately, I should say that we ran out of time. Of course, I will give the opportunity for any concluding remarks that you might have. But if this is not the case, then please big applause from the audience for our great panelists. I think it was a good discussion. Thank you very much for your patience. Colleagues, thank you.